Hi everyone, it's Pete Jones here again. It's time for another video. I've been writing a lot of things down lately, just because I don't want to forget them. And there's quite a few random thoughts that I have, but it's nice to think. And I really hope that doesn't stop. I was at the BC Schizophrenia Society on Monday when I did my last video, and we got to talking, and just out of nowhere, Sally Hall, who's one of the great employees there, said that she made a comment about the thinking thing, because we started to debate, where our thoughts come from, and Sally knew the name of the Frenchman that said, "I think, therefore I am," and I don't know if that. I think that's flawed because he still can't tell you where his thoughts come from. So Sally called it the thinking thing, which I thought was kind of funny and could almost be a thing. Haha. Anyways, I want to celebrate the days that I do think a lot, and I want to record them, and I want to be able to express them. I think I've always been this way, at least when I've been well. Well, that's not necessarily true. When I haven't been well, I think of, I'm lost in a delusion somewhere, talking to a voice hallucination, or thinking about maybe a TV show that I just watched. I used to pretend, or not pretend, I don't know if it was, that I was talking to the characters on the show that I had just watched, and it's fun to binge watch, just get a whole season of a show that you really like and just watch the whole thing, and I haven't done that in quite a while. I actually haven't watched a lot of TV in quite a while. I'm a big hockey fan, so I don't miss a Canuck game. But other than that, it's the Colbert Report and The Daily Show are the other two, and South Park. Those are the only shows that I really want to watch. I was recently went to NCIX, the computer store, which I believe is going to be taking over the whole computer thing pretty soon, if they haven't already. Because they have a location in Surrey now, which is a lot bigger than some of the locations, and it's a lot more customer friendly than it used to be. I mean, NCIX always had a good thing going for them, but now they've just really made it better. And it was funny. I was talking to one of the guys who was saying, "Yeah, only old people have cable these days," which is kind of funny. Yeah, I hope Anonymous keeps on doing what they're doing. If anybody knows what I'm talking about. Anyways, a bit of a ramble, but these are the kind of things that go through my head. I'm also a believer in certain things coming along in your life at certain times. Whether it's like a song lyric that you attach yourself to, or that you really believe in, I think your questions will be answered. Not necessarily the biggest one, which is, what is the truth, what is energy, what is life, where do our thoughts come from, but things like a lot of Chili Peppers lyrics come back to me, because Anthony Kiedis, I think, was a pretty amazing guy. He's done every drug on the planet over and over, and I have heard a story about the fact that he was in a motorcycle accident once, and he didn't respond to any pain medication, so he literally had the operation without any pain medication, because he had done so many drugs and his body was so used to being drugged that the morphine or whatever they tried to give him literally just didn't work. I think you gotta be a pretty strong person to be able to do that many drugs, and still be alive and still be competent. Uh, I'm pretty sure the only reason that I haven't done any serious drug is because I'm afraid I would just like it too much, and I'm sure that's the case. I'd become a druggie because it would be like, well, this is way better than reality. So I'll just keep on doing it, and yeah, I do believe everything ties in. Because this right now has just got me thinking about the fact that I watched the mayoral debate for the Surrey Big Three. Linda Hepner, Doug McCallum, and Barinder Rizote. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it. Anyways, yeah, because the biggest thing they were talking about to improve Surrey was crime, obviously, and what can be done about it. And I got to thinking that why does somebody do a drug in the first place? I mean, there's the curiosity part, which is always there, but there's also and I believe a large portion of the people that do drugs suffer from mental illness. They just had a shitty card handed to them or dealt to them, and the only way they can try to live life is to do drugs to make themselves feel better, because they have felt so much pain at a certain time in their life, and if that's true, meaning the majority of the people that do drugs do them to self-medicate, then there's got to be some sort of grassroots. That sounds so. Well, it is like a program that's implemented. Literally anybody can sign up for. You probably have to be ready to quit your drugs if you're going to go into a situation like a recovery house or something like that that's going to support you. But it should be readily available, because, as we know, drugs are definitely linked to crime, and that's because people steal because they need money for drugs, and drugs are expensive. So it does tie in. Anyways, a while ago, I was a big fan of this. This is related because it's either you can make it relate or it actually does relate. Probably, I hope it just does relate or link itself together. Transitions I'm talking about. Anyway, so The Sopranos was a great show, and I enjoyed every season of it. And just forgot what I was going to say there. It was drug related, and then Sopranos popped in. Right, The Art of War. Sun Tzu, I think I'm saying his name correctly. Anyways, Tony Soprano had read The Art of War, and probably a good idea, seeing as he was the guy, the Godfather, Kingpin, whatever you want to call him, head of the mafia. But the quote from the God of War is, I wrote it down, part of it down here. So in war to subdue your enemy, you ultimately the art of war is to be able to do the subduing without actually fighting. And I always remember that quote from The Karate Kid, which was an awesome movie. Back in the day, where Mr. Miyagi and the Karate Kid were on a boat, and it was part of his training. And Mr. Miyagi asked Daniel, why do we train? And the answer was, we train so that we don't have to fight. And that's exactly along the lines of that quote from The Art of War. which I think is really interesting and very applicable to today's society and the things that are going on in the world right now. It's a scary time. I don't know if it's ever been like this in my lifetime. I mean, obviously I remember the Iraq War and what George Bush Sr. Was talking about, how they had invaded and things like that. And I mean, obviously I don't have the answer to what is going on overseas and recently on our own soil even. But if the ultimate goal of to subdue your enemy is to do that without fighting, then I'm a big believer in that. So along the lines of things coming into your life at a certain time to teach you certain lessons, I think you have to be in a place yourself where you're completely open to receiving those messages, and maybe it goes in cycles. I know it does for me because, or at least has done in the past. That there'll be a day like I had yesterday where it was very engaging, very thoughtful, very soul searching, if that makes any sense, and open to people's ideas, to better myself, to get to a place where I want to be, and becoming the person that I really want to be, and being that person all the time. I think sometimes I try to sound smart and say like who came up with these things, but it has all been thought before, I'm sure. Anyways, I think it was Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and his the pinnacle of the hierarchy of needs was self-actualization. So self-actualization to me means being as true to yourself as you possibly can, because I really hope that that literally every human being has a true self, and maybe it's just it's a quest to become that true self all the time, and that's what I'm hoping to do. It's funny, I quite often, I mean, at least when I was younger, and still do now, notice that sometimes when you're walking down the street, you'll walk by an old man. It doesn't matter, race, religion, whatever they are, but it's usually an old man, and maybe an old woman, that'll have a smile on their face, and they'll look at you and smile, and it's like they know something that you don't know yet, and it's motivational because there's so much calm and so much happiness in that smile that it motivates you to try to figure out what they already know, and maybe that is just being your true self all the time, and maybe that is the key to happiness. I'm pretty sure that a lot of us would be a lot happier if we were much more true to ourselves than we are, at least doing it all the time, and not being affected by the pressures of society, to conform, to be a certain kind of person, to fit in. And it's funny that I mentioned that, but I came to the conclusion yesterday. It's like fitting in without fitting in, and I think that's why the quote from The Art of War came into my head as well. It's like fighting without fighting, just like Daniel LaRusso was training so he didn't have to fight. So it's the fitting in without fitting in. I know it's a little abstract, but it makes sense to me. along my quest to be the person that I really want to be, um, and every day is a step towards that. I really hope. So yeah, good talk, and yeah, so things come into your life when you're open and ready for them. I do believe that. So do yourself a favor and be free.